Hello, everyone, and welcome to pCloudy's webinar on how to make your modern app delivery continuous, incremental, fast, and lean. My name is Dinakar, and I'll be the host for today. Before we get started, I would like to go over a few housekeeping rules. Your line is currently muted. However, you can submit your questions during the webinar through the chat option on the sidebar. We will answer your questions as part of the Q&A section at the end of the webinar. And please note that this webinar is being recorded and we will send the link of the recording to share with your colleagues later. With that said, let me introduce the speaker for today, Shoaib Ahmed. Shoaib is a lead pre-sales consultant at pCloudy. He has around 10 years of experience in the IT industry, and prior to his role at pCloudy, he has worked with Micro Focus as a pre-sales consultant for application delivery management portfolio, catering to technologies such as DevOps, automation, performance, cloud, and mobility. Without any further ado, let me hand it to the speaker, Shoaib Ahmed.
Thank you so much, Dinakar, for the introduction. So, is my voice audible? I hope it is. Fine. So, let's get started. I'm from technical pre-sales consulting team, right here at pCloudy, right? So thank you everyone for joining in the today's webinar. So we will look into how to make your modern app delivery with continuous, incremental, fast, and lean. Right. So let me just get started with the agenda. So the agenda for today's webinar is, first we will try and understand what is the mobile app development and when it comes to the delivery and what are the various different approaches that the industry follows for developing the mobile app application. And then we will look into the some of the various different application testing methodologies, right? And we will touch base on the how you can accelerate the testing through the modern app delivery by using various different models. And at the end we will also touch base on what how can pCloudy help, right? In this case, we will have a quick demo followed by the presentation slides, and then at the last we will open up for a quick Q&A sessions. So without any further delay, let's get started. So what is application delivery when it comes to mobile applications? What are the various different methods that are adopted? So application development and delivery, basically it encompasses the tasks that are designated in the application development lifecycle. It's starting from the planning phase to the release and up to the monitoring phase. So there are various different phases within the mobile application development. So mobile application development is actually a process or an act of creating software applications that run on mobile devices, any enterprise grade applications. It could be a handheld device or any other enterprise devices, and they typically use the network. Any mobile applications typically uses the mobile network connection to work on the remote computing services, and hence these mobile development process involves creating installable software bundles. So that could be a code, binaries, assets, etc. And right, and implementing some of the backend services such as data access with an API, and testing the application on a targeted devices. So let's take a look at it. What are the various different approaches that are followed for developing the mobile applications, right? So earlier it pretty much started with the waterfall model, and then we went with an agile methodology, and the recent and the latest technology that has been used wide across is DevOps. And we will more try to understand in deep how DevOps is helpful in today's mobile app application development, right? So as you can see on the screen, right? So on the DevOps part, so there are various different phases within DevOps. So let's try and understand what DevOps is first, right? So DevOps is basically it's an approach. It's a unique approach rather than a tooling or a solution. It's basically an approach, right? So that emphasizes the effective collaboration between all the various different stakeholders involved in creating a digital product, right? So it can include the project managers, the mobile application developers, and the testing team, and also members from the various different operation staff. So while the traditional techniques and approach to the software development, that led to the additional development time, right? There was a additional development time which incurred in the traditional development process, like the waterfall and the agile, and also when it comes to the cost, and also it was on the customer dissatisfaction side. So this DevOps basically it bridges the gap between the development and operations, and it overcomes the challenges associated with continuous software delivery. Right. So the idea behind DevOps for any mobile app development is to foster a culture of collaboration between the teams that previously worked in silos. So DevOps is not just a it's not a merely an approach, right? So it can be perceived primarily as a culture or a state of mind. So and it foregrounds a shift in the mindset as well, which improves the collaboration and facilitates tighter integration. So it brings together the agile, the continuous delivery, and also the automation, so that the development and operation teams can be more efficient and release the software faster and more reliable. So through DevOps, so it has become very reliable and so easy to align business goals and deliver high value to the customer. And adopting DevOps in the enterprise is highly beneficial, right? So the same can be said for business, and as it brings positive returns in terms of on the investment side. A recent study confirms that the organizations that implemented DevOps exhibited around 63% experience improvement in the quality of their software development, and 63% were able to release the new software more frequently. So that's about DevOps. We will look into some of the various different phases within the DevOps. So there are various different 8 phases within DevOps, right? The first the very first phase is planning phase, which is very important. In this phase, the different teams they come together. It could be from the project team, developers, the project managers, the business analysts, operations staff, and all other stakeholders to a common platform, right? So to define the scope of the application and identify the outcomes of the resources. Basically, the vision of the project or the idea behind the application development is created in the planning phase. And then comes the coding phase, which is a crucial state and which is first and the foremost where the code development happens, a code review, or it can be anything to do with actual development that are closely related to the continuous integration. So all the developers who are working with the idea behind the application, which was taken from the planning phase, are developed in a logical way by writing code. And then we'll move to the build stage. So build stage is something, it's an everyday job, all right? Building an application is something in an everyday job. So in mobile DevOps, organization use variety of version controls, source code managements, different practices for merging code and notifying everyone about the build status. So that's wherein the build status comes into picture. So on a high level, if we look into it, so once the developer finishes a task, they commit their code to any of the shared code repository, and then there are many ways again this can be done by, but typically the developer submits a pull request, and that request to merge their new code with the shared code base, and then the another developer then reviews the changes they have made, and once they are happy, there are no issues, they approve the pull request. So this manual review is supposed to be quick and lightweight, but it's effective at identifying issues early. So it is pretty much on the um, building stage, and once the building stage is done, once the status is notified to all the various different stakeholders, the next phase comes is the testing phase, which is very crucial. So we say that it as a continuous testing. So there are various different tools that are used. So testing has to be done and at the earliest, as early as possible, right? And there is a shift left concept as well, where the testing happens at the very beginning, correct? And because of the DevOps thinking, so this testing is one of those key areas that defines the quality aspects of the software, despite there are no error or bugs or issue is been fixed by the QA. So all, or at least majority of those, can be discovered during this phase. So as continuous integration has several goals for the testing phase, the testing should also be automated to ensure there is a seamless flow, rich and also detailed results, and advocate verifications of the application. So when we talk about continuous testing, so it's basically means the testing each regression or build uneven and continuously practicing this throughout the development lifecycle. So early testing, early validation, and frequent testing ensures the quality built into the application and can be verified and issues to be tackled early. So when mobile DevOps is concerned with the production like or a real environment, the testing should always go on with real mobile devices, right? So there are hundreds of good reason why mobile device process should not include at this stage, and at this stage any use of simulators or emulators. So it is evident that we use the real mobile phones, real mobile devices to test your applications. And once the testing phase is completed, the other phases includes release. So it could be a change management, release approvals. It can also be on the release automation side. So it basically, this phase is a milestone in DevOps pipeline, right? So it is the point where which we say the build is ready for deployment into the production environment, right? So by this stage, each code changes has passed a series of manual and also automation tests, and the operation team can be confident that breaking issues and regressions are unlikely, correct? Because the software has been thoroughly tested, thoroughly reviewed, the code has been thoroughly reviewed, built, and it was we've been tested thoroughly. And depending upon the DevOps maturity, again, DevOps maturity of an organization, right? So they may choose to automatically deploy any build that it makes to this stage of the pipeline. And then the developers can use feature flags to turn off new features so that they can't see that, so that they can't be seen by the customers until they are ready for action. So this model is considered various different organizations, by adopting DevOps in their everyday production product release. And when we talk about the deployment phase, right? So in this stage, once the build is ready for the big time and it is released into the production, so there are several process tools and several tools basically, and also processes that can automate the release process, so that makes release reliable with no outage window. So the same infrastructure as a code that built with the test environment can be configured with the built-in production like environment, correct? So we already know that the test environment was built successfully, so we can test assured that the production release will go off without any hitches, correct? So there are various different deployment methods adopted by organizations, and depending on that terminology or strategy, organization use their own deployment methods. And the last two are operate and monitor. So once the new release is now live, and right, and it has been used by the customer, right? So the operation team is now hard at work, right? So what they do is they make sure that everything is running smoothly. So based on the configuration of the cloud hosting services, say the environment automatically scales, right, with handle peaks and through in the number of active users, right? So with the organization has also built a way where they can get their continuous feedback on their services as well as tooling. So this will help again to improve the product from any defects or issues being identified. So the operation team is pretty much very active in this stage. And once this stage is completed, the last stage is monitoring. So continuous monitoring is also required in the phase of mobile development life cycle, especially in DevOps. So it is the final phase of the DevOps cycle to monitor the environment, and any feedbacks that was received in the operations phase are carefully looked into in terms of the analytics, customer behavior, the performance, if there are any errors, and more. And all of this information is then fed back to the product manager or even to the development team to look into the close loop on the process. So these are all some of the important different phases of mobile application development. Every organization has its own way of adopting the DevOps. As I mentioned, DevOps is not a tool; it's a culture, basically, right? So now let's move on to the next slide, where we try and understand the various different methodology. So as we discussed, right, on the DevOps part, so there are some other testing methodologies which was widely used across. All right, so there was waterfall model, is agile model, and then the latest methodologies being adopted across organizations is DevOps. So we will look into these differently. What are the basic differences? So when we talk about the waterfall model, this model it can be defined as a sequential process in the development of a system or a software that basically follows the top-down approach. So here in this model, it is very straightforward. All right, the various phases of any development life cycle, like requirement gathering, software design, implementation, testing, and also maintenance. So all these phases will happen sequentially, one after the other. So the product will not go to a next stage unless one stage is finished here. So this model is basically only suited for projects that had stable requirements, right? And if you can see, there is enough time is being being used on the in the coding phase. So there is a huge amount of time that is spent on the coding time, right? So the design phase is typically takes lesser time once all the different team, different stakeholders gather for understanding, for creating the design. But coding phase is an actual phase, right? So where we are turning the ideas into an actual product. So that is the phase. It takes more time, and there is no collaboration at all with between various different stakeholders, right? So once the coding is finished, then it goes to a testing, and then it is deployed. So it happens sequentially, one after the other. But the amount of time that you see is huge in waterfall model. And hence the organization started moving to the agile model, in which it is an iterative process, right? Very soon after the design is done on any specific application, it has been continuously coded, and then it is continuously tested. So based on the iterative mode, so again the coding happens, and then the testing happens. So it keeps on. So it's an iterative mode. But again, there are teams that are still working in different silos, right? And you could see the amount of time it's drastically improved comparatively from waterfall model. But when we talk about DevOps is something, as we discussed, in our previous slides largely. So the various different stakeholders collaborate, they work together, and it's been continuously monitored, throughout the process, starting from the planning phase to the deployment and to the continuous monitoring side. So at each and every stage, there is a continuous feedback that is given to the developers, so that the developers continuously work on the code, do their changes if there is any breakages that happens on the software or the solution. And this will make sure the product is released with quality, and released earlier to the production without any much delay. And also the users, the team can monitor the production issues if there are any production related. So these are various different technology methodologies that are widely adopted across different organizations. We can still say that there are still organizations who are adopting agile and also waterfall model. But DevOps is something which is a future, right? So which I know more than 50-60% of organizations have already started adopting it. Now let's take a look into how we can accelerate the testing, by using various different delivery models. So this is an important part of this webinar, right? So we will try and understand various different models. So how can one can switch, right, from the traditional approach to the modern app delivery? So the first thing is to replace manual testing with exploratory testing. So exploratory testing is very important, as it does not take much time for the preparation of the test cases, right? So all the test cases, all the issues or defects are captured on the fly while testing on the platform instantly. So this will give more freedom for the users to explore while they are testing and identify the defects. So this is something which is one of the important model that has to be followed. and then adapting the behavior driven and also the test driven development. So there are various different approaches towards it, right? So depending upon the requirement, one can simply adopt these two different models, all right? So it could be behavior driven or as well as test driven methodologies. So we'll quickly try and understand what are these, what is behavior driven development and test driven development. So when we talk about test driven development, right? So basically it's a testing methodology, so that it fits into the programming practice from the developer's point of view. We are talking about the test driven development here. So in this approach, the quality assurance engineer uses the TDD testing approach after designing and writing the test cases for each minuscule functionality of an application to address the simple or a singular question, right? Whether if there is a code valid or not. The intent here is pretty straightforward, to test whether the freshly written code holds water and to modify or rewrite it only in case if it fails, the TD test. So as a result, so the testing approach helps reduce the test script duplication to a larger extent, right? So making it a hugely popular technique for optimizing the ecosystem of agile development. And it also has some of its benefits adopting the TDD behavior, all right? So it's extremely efficient in exploring errors or bugs or even breakdowns in a short window of time, right? And even the developers have access to faster feedback in this case, and they can promote an ecosystem, right, for more competent and cleaner designs, so that will again help. And it also aids in the development of easy to maintain and also flexible and extensive code. So that is on the test driven development side. So when we talk about behavior driven, so it is actually an extension of test driven development, all right? So BDD is an extension of TDD, all right? That is test driven development technique. And so it is built upon the core test front ethos of the TDD methodology. So in this case, what happens is the tests are focused on the behavior of the system, right? So rather than on the functionality or a specific code, here the behavior of the system is more focused, right? So different features or components of an applications are developed based on these behavioral predictions. So the most common approach used by BD testing is, it is dubbed it as given when then, correct? So there are various different scenarios again, depending on. So we'll not touch base around it. And again, it has its own advantages of using the BDD approach, BDD or YDD approach. So on a high level, if you could see the what are the major benefits, right? So it facilitates a wider outreach of goals, by relying on non-technical language in defining the goals and the requirements, and it is more cost-effective methodology. That is something to look for, and it cuts back on the cost and as well as on the effort of verifying and also the correcting the post-deployment shortcomings. So the focus is on the application behavior from the perspective of the developer as well as from the end user. And the next is on the shift left, as we discussed in the DevOps model as well. Shift left is something which we need to adopt so that we test the application very well, very early in the software application development lifecycle. All right, shift left is something it has to be adopted starting from the unit testing phase. So the earlier you test, the earlier you find the defects, and the cost of fixing will be very less. So that's the importance of the shift left. And then focus on the automation. So this is something very important where you have more number of test cases which has to be validated across. So automations helps scaling the testing, right, testing of various different functionalities, and it speeds up the testing efforts, and also not dependent on more number of resources as well. So automation again has its own benefits which we can think of. And yeah, enable testing on the cloud. So this is a very important point, wherein if you are worried about the infrastructure, so anything that involves testing your application on a physical device, right, requires a setup lab setup kind of environment. So that's wherein the challenge comes in to set up a hardware to set up an the cloud infrastructure itself takes a huge number of time, and also the cost associated is pretty high, right? So enabling the testing on the cloud makes your job easier, where you can quickly have the cloud setup ready, and you can test your applications on the fly, right, on any set of physical devices, do your automations and also run it through the various different CI servers. So that will speed up your testing activity rather than focusing on setting up the cloud itself on the premise. And also the last point is to drive the API testing. So it is very important to test the application programming interface directly, to see the functionality or behavior of the feature, or even test it in terms of on the performance part as well. So these are all some of the important how you adopt the modern application delivery models. Let's move on, and a quick a quick slide on understanding with the scripted testing, and also what happens through the exploratory testing. A quick difference here. So in the scripted testing, it's pretty much on the predefined requirements. The requirements are pretty much predefined. Here we take the requirements predefined plus explore the requirements during your testing. So while you're testing, you gather some more requirements, right? And so in the scripted testing, the test cases are pretty much defined in advance, right? So you spend some time here, right, in writing the test cases. But whereas in exploratory testing, so it is being determined while you are testing. So while you do your exploratory test, you determine your test cases, right? So what all the test cases, what are the positive test cases that has to be included, and the negative scenarios as well. And it confirms the testing the requirements, whatever requirements that you have predefined. It confirms whether the if we are testing the requirements based on. And on the side of exploratory testing, it basically investigates the system and also the applications while you are doing the exploratory test. And the scripted testing is pretty much planned testing. It is spontaneous, whereas in exploratory testing, and the testing is controlled by script in case of scripted testing, whereas the testing is controlled by the mind of a tester, right? So it depends on the the tester, what logical reasons, what logical steps the tester want to. So you have this difference in a nutshell, on an overview. So how pCloudy can help, right? So let's try and understand, all right, in all these different segment. So pCloudy is a continuous testing platform for all your mobile and as well as web applications. Right, so you can pretty much test all your mobile applications, be it native, hybrid, progressive web apps, and mobile apps. And also when it comes to desktop-based applications, so it's a single stop shop for all your testing needs. We will look at in detail, in depth, what is the how the pCloudy setup looks like very soon in a short demo. And with pCloudy, we were trying to touch base on some of the important features and functionalities when it comes to the pCloudy. Right? When it comes to the infrastructure, right? So we have the complete device lab for testing all the mobile applications, and also a browser lab. So as I mentioned, it's a one-stop shop. So we also have a browser cloud, so which will help you test all your browser-based applications on either on Windows or Mac machines with different screens resolutions. And also we are very soon plan to test all the different variables. It could be smart speakers, handheld, any handheld devices. So very soon we will be supporting that as well. And for enabling the continuous testing, so these are some of the a quick high level on the solution side. When it comes to the rapid automation, you can very well integrate with APM, create your test scripts instantly, and then execute it on the pCloudy platform, right? And you can pretty much scale or automation scripts on more number of devices. And we do provide the test analytics, right, which will help you understand your test findings, right? It could be from the performance metrics point, or it could be from the the screenshots, or it could be from the logs and also on the video, so which will help further understand how your test behave. And as we discussed, so we also support from the DevOps point. So we have support for all the leading CI servers like Jenkins, TeamCity, Bamboo, Azure DevOps, and so on. So you can pretty much trigger your builds directly through these different TS servers. And also the multi experience touching, right? So like we support all the various different gestures, right? So as you do it on your physical device on your local in hand, so you can pretty much test your applications as if you're testing on your local physical device with various different gestures operations. And not just that, we also support the voice functionality, right? So where you can test your audio in and audio out functionalities. So uh, that's how the pCloudy can help in the transformation to the digital when it comes to the cloud. And when we talk about the browser cloud, all right, so browser cloud is something, it is basically on the mobile, on the testing the desktop based applications. So we will quickly look at some of the brief advantages of the browser cloud. You can perform unlimited number of manual and automation testing. So as I mentioned, we do have integration with Selenium as well. So in case if you have created scripts on Selenium, you can very well integrate with pCloudy and execute your automation scripts on any Mac or Windows machine instantly. And there are absolutely no restrictions. So there are no restrictions when it comes to the number of hours or timings. So you can pretty much test it, and we pretty much have all the real machines, right? So it's not simulators or any sort of virtual devices, but these are pretty much real Mac and Windows machines. All the natural interactions which you are performing, you can still and perform it on the while on the real desktops. And you can also capture all the various different web app performance statistics, right, while you are testing your web application. And also access to detailed artifacts like the screenshots what you have captured, and also the video, right? So the entire session has been captured in the form of video, which you can uh, get it, you can download and you can share it among your developers. The device cloud for the mobile applications, right? So quick advantages of device cloud testing your mobile applications again. So there is unlimited manual and automation testing. So we have integration with the APM, where you can quickly integrate and execute it on a number of devices. We have over 2000 real devices with various different combinations of different browsers. And uh, and also the automation test can be performed with all the natural interactions, and right, so with different devices, OS manufacturers and versions. So we have a huge device pool, so which will help you test your applications against various different operating systems, manufacturers and versions. And also access to the detailed reports. So so for now we are providing a detailed report, all right, which has all the logs, screenshots, videos, all your different sprint findings. Very soon we will be launching the progressive reports, which will have again further detailed reporting at the test case level. All right, so it is currently in the roadmap, and very soon we will have the progressive report as well. And yeah, of course, in case if there is a need where you want to test, based on the local sim, you can pretty much test this on the public cloud. We have all the some of the devices with are equipped with the sim cards, like for the particular region, either India or US. And yeah, we have a very smooth integration with APM, where you can quickly integrate with the capabilities, right? So with that, let me jump into the live production demonstrations, right? I will quickly showcase a demonstration on the public cloud. So let's jump in. So this is the login screen of the public cloud. The device.pcloudy.com is the URL, and this is a sign up page where you can quickly sign in, right? And yeah, in case if you wish to sign in with your SSO, you can log in with your single sign on as well, right? Otherwise, you can simply log into the platform by providing your login credentials. So let me just sign into the platform. Okay, so this is the quick dashboard on the public cloud. All right, so where you can quickly monitor all your previous sessions, either it's manual sessions or automation sessions. And if there are any concurrent sessions that are running in live, you can pretty much monitor that as well. And there is a section where you can deep dive into the more devices section to explore on more different devices. There is a get started video as well. In case if you are new to pCloudy, you can quickly have a look at this short video and some other interesting stats related to your previous manual sessions, your automation reports, and any updates related to the product enhancements. All you can pretty much get it here. So that's about the dashboard. Now let me jump into the devices section. All right. So this is the very important tab where you can see all the various different devices. All right. So the devices that you see are these are real devices, as I mentioned. So we do not support emulators or simulators. So at any given point of time, you can connect to any of these devices depending on the availability. Right. So there are various different devices, pretty much mix of both Android and as well as iOS with different manufacturers, OS, and different versions. So based on your requirement, you can connect. There are filter options as well. You can quickly filter based on operating systems, OEMs, screen size. We support all the different smartphones, tablets, and phablets, right? And as I mentioned, network. So we do have some of the SIM cards with real SIM cards like Airtel, Idea, Jio, and Vodafone in case of India data center. And on the US side, we have AT&T, ATT, T-Mobile, and US Mobile. Right, and our data center is hosted across two different locations, one in India and other in US. So this is a quick, screen for the devices section, and connecting to these devices again, it is pretty straightforward. Based on the availability, one can simply click on available icon, and the device will be connected. So right, so once the device is connected, you can pretty much get start with your functional testing aspect. Right, you can test your applications pretty much in live. So there is also another section, which will help you test, upload your apps. All right. So in case if you have your apps on your local side, right, you can always upload your apps in the My App data section. All right. So this is a section where you can upload all your IPAs, APK files. It's a cloud location, so it will be provided for every individual user. So whatever data that you see here are restricted at the user level. All right. So no other user will be able to monitor or see your applications that you have uploaded. And yeah, as I mentioned, so we also have certified with ISO 27001 and SOC 2 compliant. So you can be rest assured. So whatever apps that we test on, that you are testing on the cloud are absolutely safe, right? So that's on the devices section. And when it comes to the browser side, all right, so this is the browser section, right, for testing your desktop based applications. Right, you can simply switch from devices section to the browser cloud, so where you can see all the various different machines, right? So we have Windows 10 with different different operating systems, and also different versions with different browser combinations, like Microsoft Edge, Firefox, Chrome, and IE, Windows 8.1, and also when it comes to Mac machines, we have with different Mac versions, right, like Mac Catalina, Mojave, Big Sur, and so on. So pretty much they are available, and these devices are pretty much in real time. You can connect to these devices. It is pretty straightforward. Just connect to the device, and you can get started at any given point of time. So let me just try and connect any of these devices. Let me connect on the mobile devices part while this is getting connected. Yeah. Okay, so this is on the browser cloud side. I can just go on to the full screen mode. I can start my testing. So this is the default screen that you get. Here you can type your application. Instance, if you want to test it on Amazon.in, just provide your URL, and you can instantly test your application on the fly, right? And you can also change your screen resolutions. You can test your application on various different screen resolutions, right? And there is also a section where you can quickly grab a screenshot if there are any uh, you know if there are any defects and you would like to quickly grab a screenshot, you can capture those screenshots. And there is a gallery section where you can monitor all your screenshots. You can further edit or download, and there is a you can also collaborate this, right, on Jira or Slack. So we have integration with Jira and Slack. And also, as I mentioned, if there are any intranet based applications which are internal, which are not accessible outside public network, you can use wildnet and to test your application real time. And once your testing is completed, you can simply release the device. And the you'll be notified with the message, that as like the data on the browser will be cleaned up. So this is more from security point, as I mentioned earlier. So whatever apps that you install on the cloud, or whatever the desktop based applications that you access, will be cleaned up. All right. So when the next user tries and connects, they will not be able to see your apps. So it's pretty much secured, as I mentioned earlier. Right. So that's pretty much on the desktop based applications. On the mobile side of it, again, depending on the availability, you can connect to the devices and you can see it in real time with the various different features, right? You can install the application. If your application is available in the Play Store, you can go to the Play Store or App Store, download our apps, or you can pretty much in real time install the applications. We have options for monitoring your device logs. You can quickly enable the device logs, enable it so that you can identify all the various different logs that are available. You can install the application if it is in the APK or IPA format. Just upload the application to the cloud, and you can instantly install any applications. Right. So just click on install, and the application would be installed, and you'll be able to monitor it. There are various different features. Again, I may not be able to take you through all the various different features. And there's also analysis section, where you can monitor the your application, right, from the performance metrics point. How intensive is your app when it comes to the memory consumption or the CPU consumption, right? So you can very well just click on the graph icon, select the app which you want to monitor, and as you select, you will start getting all the performance metrics pretty much in live. You can monitor the memory usage. There's a CPU graph, this battery capacity as well, so which will help you further understand, whether if your app is memory intensive or CPU intensive, or it is consuming more battery, right? And yeah, so all these graphs are again captured in the report section, which you can get it. And you can also grab a quick screenshots, which will help you, you know get the screenshots. I edit if there are any defects. If you want to highlight it, you can pretty much do that. And yeah, as I mentioned, you can also collaborate this on various different platforms like Jira, Slack, and GitHub. Right. So these are the various different options. So you can pretty much test all your native, hybrid, and also web applications. If you have your mobile web application, you can simply provide the URL here and select the browser of your choice. So we have support for all the various different browsers, starting from Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Opera, and so on. So you can pretty much test all your web-based applications as well, right? So, and once completing the testing, you can release the device, and this will show you a pop-up which says the data on this device will be cleaned up. So as I mentioned, so we'll do a cleanup process, which will make sure all the apps that you have installed are wiped out, from the process, from the devices. All right, so let me just clean and showcase you the report section. Once the devices are released, we can monitor the reports, right? So to access the reports, you can simply go to the report section, and in the all report section, you will start seeing all the various different reports, all right, for your previous sessions, be it either for manual testing or automation testing. All right, so this is the device which you had used. You can quickly view the report. The report will something look like this, wherein you have all the device level metrics, session details, started, completion, total duration, and all the metrics which I showcase, right? Like we will capture the battery consumption here, which talks about the device battery consumption, the application level battery consumption. There's a memory chart which you can, pretty much monitor it. You can see for the entire duration, what are the spikes that is happening. You can understand, if their application is memory intensive. And when it comes to CPU, we do provide the CPU chart as well at the application level, which has an application level CPU, system level CPU, user level CPU, network chat. If there is any snapshots, whatever snapshots that you have captured, are again available here. Logs and videos, the entire logs and videos are again captured, which will help you again, use it for further debugging purpose. And of course, these reports are shareable. You can share this report just by clicking on copy report link. Okay, a real report link will create it, and you may share it among your different stakeholders, different team members, and they need not be pCloud user. Anyone who has the link will be able to access the report, right? So that's about on the on the devices section. Right now, I just wanted to quickly spend some time around the exploratory testing, especially. So, uh, pCloudy also has a feature called Certifier. All right. So, what is this Certifier? Certifier is basically it's an autonomous testing. All right. So, where you do a quick health check of your application. All right. So here there are two bots, artificial bots. All right. So that does the testing for you. You just upload the app to the cloud and the bots will take care. So this is currently supported in public cloud and this is for Android alone. So maybe I can quickly run through how you can create your certifier session. So it is driven by autonomous bots, as I mentioned. So the first step for doing the certifier session is to select the app which you have already uploaded to the cloud. If not, you can upload it to the cloud and then select your app and then provide the name of your test and then select the location. So by default, it is set to India. In case if you wish to test on US devices, you can pretty much change it. And what is the application category of an application, right? To which category the application belongs to. You can just simply provide your application category here, and if your application has some data that needs to be given, you can provide your data like username or password, or if it is something else you can also edit the labels, right? If it is employee name or employee password, you can simply change these labels and provide these values. And so once you have provided all these mandatory details, you can very well click on run. And just for the benefit of the time, I'm not going to show this. I'll just quickly run through the report. So once the session is completed, you will see a report, right? So let me showcase how the certifier report will looks like, right? So this is a quick summary report where you can get all the application information on the right hand side, right? And also there is an application performance score, right? So what we do is we have benchmarked with our industry standards and we have provided certain ratings, right, for your apps in terms of in terms of the performance metrics for your like CPU, memory, battery, and the network, and we are providing the color codings, right? So if it is matches with the industry standard, it is under green, and if it is moderate, then you will see it as yellow. And if it is below industry standard, and then it is in red color. So you can very well monitor your all your performance metrics for all your different devices. So Certifier, when you talk about Certifier, there are two different bots that runs, right? So one does the crash test, and the other does the exploratory bot, and it runs on 10 different devices. You don't have control over selecting the devices here. It just randomly picks up the 10 devices which are available on the cloud, right? And it will provide you the data, right? So one set bots is the crash test bot, so which makes sure it selects 10 different devices, installs your applications, and checks and sees if the application is getting crash or not. It does the random testing. It's just like monkey testing. It does random testing. It clicks here and there and then see if the application is getting crashed or not, and it will provide you the analytics, right? Just like how we saw it for manual testing. So it will provide all the analytics, and also it captures the snapshots for every action the bot has performed, right? Starting from launching the device to accessing the application, and whatever actions that the bot has performed, it pretty much captures so that you can quickly identify if there are any specific issues that has come across. All right. So you very well you can monitor all the screens here. So that's the crash test, and the other test is the exploratory bot test. So this is again this bot does the testing just like how a human does, right? So based on the intelligence that we have given to this bot, and also based on the inputs that you have provided here, like the application category and the values, if you have provided any inputs here on your credentials or any data, based on this the bot will perform test, right? So it selects 10 different devices from Android, installs your applications, and then navigates from one screen to another screen by logging in into the application and then doing some particular action on the device. So based on the intelligence, and it will provide the report something like this, right? So if you look at the metrics here, if you look at the analytics here, I'll just simply jump into the snapshots, right? So which will help you understand, right? This bot has performed test, based on the exploratory testing. It connected to the device and then access the application, all right, and then navigated to from one screen to another screen. You can quickly come here, see the snapshots or reports if there is any unexpected behavior of the application, or the application has launched properly, or if there are any bugs that have come across. So this will help you quickly understand by looking into all the various different screenshots. All right, so that's pretty much about the exploratory bot testing, right? So these are basically the two different bots, right? So to quickly summarize on the certifier test is mainly conducted to do a quick sanity test even before you release your application to the production. All right, so which will help you understand whether if your application has any issues because of some changes, you can quickly understand. So with that, I am pretty much done on a quick demonstration sign. All right, so maybe I can quickly open up the session for Q&A. So let's go for it if there are any question and answers. I'm seeing many questions coming in. Let me read out few questions and I'll try to answer to your most of your queries. So there's the first question, okay, from user Ashish. He says, how can we integrate this with pCloudy for the test execution? And is it possible if I can run it on multiple devices? Ashish, as I mentioned, so we have integration with APM, right? Pretty much, right? So you can integrate your existing script with pCloudy by adding certain capabilities to your platform. So we do also have a capability configurator. Maybe it is available on the on our portal as well, where you can configure the capabilities, and once you have the capabilities, you can add it to your the portal, and you can very well integrate, and then of course you can run it on multiple devices as well. So the intent of integrating pCloudy with APM is to achieve the parallel execution, right? So that you save your time, your testing efforts, right? So it's pretty much instant. It's pretty smooth as well. You don't have to configure any plugins or so. It's just that just add the capabilities and you're done with the integration. It's pretty straightforward. So I hope I have answered to your question. Let me see if there are any other questions. Okay, there is another question from a user, Imran. He says, um, how can pCloudy be integrated with all the CI/CD tools? Okay, again, as I mentioned in the slides, if you have seen, right? So we do have integration with all the major CI/CD tools like Jenkins, TeamCity, Azure DevOps, and so on. So one can quickly integrate if you are planning to execute through the CLI commands. You can pretty much integrate it, and you can execute your builds through the CI servers. If you want to have more look at the various different steps, please visit pCloudy documentation in the DevOps section, where you can find all the various different tools and the steps that are used for integrating with your different CI tools. I hope I have answered to your question, Imran. Thank you so much. There is another question by Sumitra. He says, what are the test analytics provided by pCloudy? And you mentioned about progressive reports. What will progressive reports hold? Yeah, of course, as you might have seen in while during the live demonstration. So test analytics basically comprises of all the test metrics plus all the test data, right? So whatever that you have tested, and the performance metrics that was captured, like the CPU consumption, memory, CPU battery, and we will also provide you the device level logs and the screenshots and the video. So currently, this is a standard report that we are providing, which will help you further, analyze the issues that you have encountered. And when it comes to progressive reports, so this is something which we are coming up, so which has a detailed reporting at the test cases level. So this will show you in real time how many test cases that are passed and test cases that are failed, and if there are any test cases that are skipped, and also capturing the different screenshots as at your failure at any test cases, if any test cases getting failed. And we are coming with many such details more around the detailed reporting. So this is very soon this will be rolling out. You will see an update very soon from us. So that's pretty much on the test analytics uh, and the progressive report side. Okay, I hope I have answered to your query, Sumitra. Let me. Okay, there are many questions coming in. I may not be able to take all of them. I'll try to respond one on one. I'll just take one last question from user Shali. So he says, "How can I execute my Selenium scripts with pCloudy? And can I integrate? Can I execute it on multiple machines, just like how we do it for APM?" Thank you so much for your question. Yeah, you can very well integrate this with Selenium from the browser cloud perspective, and you can instantly execute your Selenium scripts which you have created for the desktop-based web applications, and integrate just like APM. Even this does not require any additional plugins or any other configuration that require. It just requires small capabilities that needs to be added, which has the URL of the cloud, and then followed by various different capabilities, which has the API access of an individual. And once you have this, you are pretty much done with the integration, and you can execute it in real time. And of course, yes, you can run it on multiple machines as well, which will help you achieve parallel execution. Yeah, so that's on the Selenium part. I hope I have answered your question. And then I think we are good, and we are nearing to the closure as well. So I'll try to answer a few of the other questions the users have asked. In one-on-one, I'll drop you an email. And if you have any queries, please feel free to write us back, and I'll be happy to answer to your queries. All right, so that's it from my side. So thank you so much for your time and patience to listening me. I hope this session was useful. We will be coming up with many such webinars on various different interesting topics on the technology. So please feel free to write us back for your feedbacks or any questions you have. We look forward to work with you sometime in the near future. So thank you so much again. Have a great day.